Welcome, everybody, and hello. My name is Chris Bridges, and I am the host and the lead conversator today for Conversations About Credit with Chris. But this is not a broadcast for just me, it's a broadcast for everybody. So the seats will remain open. But I thank you so much for being with me tonight. And for those of you who thought that this was going to start at 9, yes, I did schedule it for 9, but all intentions I had was for 8. And so I started it at 8. So if you thought it was going to be at 9, sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt your plans. But if you were able to jump on early, then fantastic. If you weren't sure and you're like, wait a minute, I thought it was at 9, but you got the notification, welcome anyway. But I thank you for being on. And look at it this way. I'm doing you a favor. I'm going to let you get an hour more into your night. Maybe spend some time with your friends or your family, or just downright go to bed. That's really why I'm starting it early, but I'm not going to tell you that. But anyway, so thank you for being with me. Now, if you have not been on Blab and it's your first time on Blab, welcome to Blab. And here's some of the rules. So on this broadcast tonight, we are having a conversation. This is a talk. Now, I got some things that I am going to share with you, and then I'm going to open up the floor for dialogue. I cannot talk to myself. Well, I can, but tonight I kind of want to talk to you. So when we open up the seat, then everybody is welcome to jump in. Or you can also submit your questions. If you're not sure how to do that, you just do /Q, and then you're able to submit your questions right there on the side feed, which is why I needed to have Ahmed help me and get that thing up. But you can submit your questions. Yes, I do know her, as a matter of fact. She's very special to me. So hello, Marie. And so you can submit your questions right there on the feed as well, and we'll be able to answer them. You'll see that my girl, who's always my huge number one supporter on Blab, is already on it, supporting me there in the feed. So that's the deal about questions. Your questions is you can come in. If you don't want to come in, maybe you're not camera ready, trust and believe, I understand how that is. You can simply just submit your questions, and then I'll answer them right here on the line. So listen, guys, no questions are silly. You should know better. I can't believe you asked that question. Every question is fair game on this broadcast. The whole point is from the time we're on live till the time we shut it down, we want to make sure that we give an opportunity for everybody to submit questions, okay? Now, what are the questions? I am a credit expert, consumer and business. And so if you have some questions for me, I'm going to talk about some things today about some of those dirty debt collectors. So if you have some questions about the subject or anything else, that's what you want to ask me. And if you just want to come in and ask me how was my day, I welcome that too. Okay. Also, tell somebody. So we've got a few people on with me tonight. Welcome and thank you again. But we certainly want to have a whole lot more. So if you could do me a favor and just go on over right now to the little button on the left and tell a friend, as well as post it on your Facebook page. So I'm going to do that as well. And I think right now they kind of changed it where you have to actually type in. Make sure you add the link, though, and then type in to have people to join us. But go ahead and do that for me now. Let everybody know that we are actually going to be on live right now on Conversations About Credit with Chris. Live right now. All right, so let me get started. And we have recorded as well, and so you can share the recording with your friends as well. So again, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking about talking, conversations, and I remembered. I don't know if they still do this. I've been married for pretty much all my life, in some form or fashion, to some man or another. But anyway, I don't remember what it was like to go talking. You guys remember? If you remember what it was like to say to somebody, I'm talking to, Brad or whatever, Keith, I'm talking. We're going out. I'm talking. If you remember what it was like to say that, just say something in the feeds. I know that you guys are out there. You kind of remember what it was like when you were dating somebody and you were talking. Ahmed said, yeah, number one. So number one says you remember it. Number two says you don't know what I'm talking about. You weren't talking to nobody, but you're waiting to talk to somebody. They put a 2. So if you put a 1 in, that means you remember what it was like to talk to somebody. Well, I remember, talking back in the day, as a younger woman or young girl or whatever. Remember when you would like go to sleep with somebody in your ear? you didn't want to hang up. You'd be on the phone for like 3 or 4 hours. You just want to hear them breathing, but you don't want to hang up. So I remember those days, but you were so engrossed in that conversation, like really talking to that person that you didn't want to let them go. Well, I want you hang up first. That's right. I mean, well, I want this topic about credit to be like that you just really thirst for it. You hunger for it. You want to talk about it, and you want to make sure that you're getting all the information you need, the knowledge you need to make better decisions, and you want to tell others. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I want you to be. I want you to be thirsty to not want to hang up first, to be on and to want to talk about, your credit. Let's have that conversation. So one of the things I wanted to share with you, and I was sharing it with one of my clients, and I thought this is kind of something that we don't really understand. So before I go into some of the federal laws and things that govern around debt collectors, I wanted to break down some other basic things first. Basic meaning they're kind of underlining foundational things, and I want to make sure that we understand it. Because debt collectors only come into play when we have outstanding or defaulted debt, right? Debt collectors are / what we know of as credit collectors or collection agencies. Well, those guys only come into the picture when we have outstanding debt, right? We have defaulted debt. We have owed debt. So debt collectors are in the picture. So first things I wanted to talk about was delinquency. And again, this is a big area of confusion as it relates to credit reports and delinquencies. And when and how delinquencies can be reported. So I want to share with you a few things. First of all, on your credit report, you may or may not, depending on which report you're looking at and where the information is coming from, but there may not be a specific date on that credit report that signifies the first date of delinquency. But the first date of delinquency is a date that is consistent with that debt. It actually transfers from the original creditor all the way through the collection agency. So the first date of delinquency is the very first month you missed a payment. Okay, it's not the first month or the date that it goes to a collection agency. It's not the day necessarily that you paid this debt off. It's the first day that an account went delinquent. And here's what people don't understand. When we talk about how long can negative accounts be reported on your credit report, it's 7 years. It's really 7.5 because it's 7 years plus 180 days from the first date of delinquency. So if we don't understand what is the first date of delinquency, we're not going to really get when that clock starts. And so it does not start, again, when it gets to a collection agency or when you pay it off. It is from the very first date. Now, some credit reports actually report this date. Some don't. So if you're not sure, and then sometimes when you get the detailed reports from the credit bureaus, it'll say this account is scheduled to remain at such a, or by or such a date. It'll basically say this account has to come off after this date. So again, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, these laws that govern information and how this information can be reported, all is around that first date of delinquency. So a lot of times people, again, think it is the date that it gets transferred. And your debt can get transferred from the original creditor to a collection agency, to another collection agency. But that date, the date of first delinquency, can never change, even if you pay or agree to pay. Another myth. Even if you pay or agree to pay, it won't change the date of first delinquency. It changes another date. I'll tell you that in a minute. That's a writer-downer, by the way. And Gail, yes, that is my word. Writer-down. I'm not sure if I spelled it right the other day. Y'all figured it out, but it's a writer-downer. All right, so let's make sure we understand that. Again, and if you're not sure if it's being reported correctly, one of the things you want to do is to contact that agency that's reporting your information and get a payment history. You can figure it out yourself. Go back and look at the first date your account went into default. Okay, so you can go back and look. And again, it doesn't matter if you made a payment or agreed to pay it after that. That initial first date of delinquency is when the clock starts to tick. So that's very, very important. Okay, I want to put that foundation information in. So again, if you're not sure about that. Now, there's another date I want to tell you about, which is the statutes of limitations date. Now, the statute of limitations says, okay, I owe you, Ahmed. Ahmed, in Maryland, you got 3 years. So you got 3 years to actively collect this debt, and which includes also taking me to court. You got 3 years, brother. If you don't come get this debt within 3 years, then you cannot sue me. That doesn't mean that I don't owe the debt. So I still owe you, Ahmed, my brother. But after 3 years, you can't sue me. Now, if, however, I send you a payment or agree to pay, then that starts that clock all over again. So that clock doesn't start on the first date of delinquency. That date is like etched in stone. The clock starting again is on the statutes of limitations. So what am I telling you guys as consumers, all of us peoples? If you owe a debt and you agree to pay that debt and you enter into a payment arrangement with that debt, you better be prepared to pay it off. Because if you don't, you just started your clock again. That's the statutes of limitations. And that date may vary. Well, it does. It varies from state to state. Some states are the same, but it does vary from state to state. Okay? So those are those 2 dates. Now, what I want to share with you today, and by the way, if you got any questions of what I shared so far, first date of delinquency, as well as statutes of limitations, put it over in the feed. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about these dates, because everything, especially regarding, again, when something must be removed from your credit report. Because, guys, there's a couple of strategies to restore your credit, right? One of the things we could do is pay all of our debt. So all of your derogatory debts, you could just stroke a check and pay them. That's one thing. All right, I see you, Ahmed. One thing we can do is pay our bills. The next thing we could do is dispute our bills. We could say, nah, kid, that's not mine. Or I paid this already. Or, this should not have been a collection. Maybe my insurance company should have paid it, whatever the reasons. But then the other thing we could do is just leave it alone. And sometimes it does make sense to leave a debt alone, especially if it's about ready to come off of your credit report anyway. Now, again, it doesn't mitigate the fact that you owe the debt, but that's just a strategy. So you got to understand, though, when this stuff is coming off. Don't be leaving something for 7 years. You got to understand how long it's going to take. All right, let me get this question posted so we can answer this question. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. So the question is there a resource for the statutes of limitations for each state? Absolutely. You can actually Google it. But you can, one thing that I wanted to give out tonight, let me just go ahead and put that in the feed. If you want to get a copy of Truth About Credit, What Our Parents, if I can spell it right, didn't tell us. So very good resource. It's a book that I wrote called Truth About Credit, What Our Parents Didn't Tell Us. I want you to text the word truth to 301-880-0041. I'm trying to tell you, I put all this in the feed. So again, if you want to get a copy of the book, Truth About Credit, What Our Parents Didn't Tell Us. Y'all know your parents didn't tell you nothing about credit. That's why we need to do a better job of that. Text the word truth to 301-880-0041. So Ahmed, yeah, if you don't want to grab the book, go in and get it, though. It's free. Go ahead and text that over to get your book. But get the book. But you could also look up the statutes of limitations. And I think all of the books that I've written, have put in something about the statutes of limitations. I know certainly the one I wrote about co-signing, credit and co-signing, what you need to know, that definitely has a table of statutes of limitations for every state. So you should be able to get that. Again, make sure that you're not getting sued. Doesn't mean you don't owe the debt after 3 years, but it cannot take you back to court. So don't be doing something crazy and, re-age that date as well. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for those of you who are just joining us. I appreciate you. Thank you, Gail, very much for putting that information up. So again, Gail is on it. Truth About Credit, What Our Parents Didn't Tell Us. If you want to get your free copy, go on over and text the word truth to 301-880-0041. That's 301-880-0041. Hey, everybody. Hey, Diana. Good to see you there, too. Again, the seat's going to be open. All right, so let's talk about these dirty debt collectors. So I've already referenced the Fair Credit Reporting Act. That's one of, there's a lot of laws, actually. And if you want to go to a site that's really, really good, you can go over to ftc.gov. That's ftc.gov, as well as the consumer finance website. That's always a good site to go to. So, but there's a federal law called the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, and it breaks down exactly how debt collectors can and cannot do. And we've got this information in the book too. But the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, and you guys know this stuff. You know they can't call you at 10 o'clock at night. You know they can't call you harassing you, threatening to take your firstborn, all your blood and everything else and sue you for money. They cannot do that. So what they can do though is professionally and legally try to collect money from us. But they cannot, threaten you in any way, in any form. And by the way, as a sidebar, it's tax time. The IRS, by the way, you guys, do not call you. The IRS will not send you an email, and they're not going to call you. So if you receive a phone call from someone impersonating the IRS, it is a scam. For God's sake, please don't give them any of your personal information, and certainly don't pay any debts. Okay, even if you owe the IRS, you need to call them directly on their number. But that is a scam, and every year they get millions of people and get billions of dollars. So please be mindful. It is tax season. You're going to have a lot of scams out there, especially that IRS scam. So they do not call you. So they are not a debt collector. The IRS is not going to call you. So let's say, though, that you have been violated. And if you're not sure about that, reach out to me as well. I think it's in the book. When you get your copy, I think I put what debt collectors can and cannot do. But you can always email me at cbridges@creditwithchris.com. So email me at cbridges@creditwithchris.com if you want the quick summary of what debt collectors can and cannot do. Because here's why you want to know. You ready? You get $1,000. So if they are breaking the law, you can get $1,000, up to $1,000. That's the fine for a collection agency or debt collector that is breaking the law. So, by the way, we got some new people who have joined us. Do me a favor. Yeah, they want your second board. Do me a favor and tell somebody. So going out there, put it on Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, wherever you are, get them into this discussion. We are going together tonight. We are talking. And so we want to make sure that we get everybody an opportunity to jump into this discussion. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about, and then again, we're going to open up the seat. But continue to submit your questions /Q, and Gail will put them up. I appreciate you, Gail. All right. So one of the things, I'm going to go ahead and pin this up now too, so people know where to go get that. All right. Let's talk about, you got debtors, debt collection agencies. What the hey? Like, who are these people and why are they calling me? Like, I went to Dr. Smith. I didn't go to AFNI or NCO. Well, collection agencies are either hired or sold to collect on behalf of an original creditor. But sometimes an account can go into collections within that original creditor. A good example of that is Verizon. So I love my folk who be telling me I don't have any collections. All I got is a Verizon account. Well, guess what? That's a collection. So collections are accounts that go into default. So when they go into default, they are now, in a collection type of status. So I see your question, Ahmed. I'm gonna get that to you in just 1 second. So what happens is, so that's a collection, and the collection account is an account that went into default with an original creditor, and they either hired or sold to a collection agency to collect the debt. So we all got it. That's a collection. And those are collection accounts. Normally it's about 6 months. And as a matter of fact, last year, so y'all better be looking at your credit reports. You can see if anybody's breaking the law. Last March, I think it was, they passed a law that said medical collections cannot show up any sooner than 180 days. Why? Because they got to give it an opportunity for you to be aware. We get those explanation of benefits. This is not a bill. This is not a bill. And it used to be, boom, on your credit report was a collection. So now they get 180 days, or they're supposed to give you 180 days. So by that time, that's like 6 months, y'all. Like, we should know that's an outstanding debt. The insurance company's either going to pay it or not. But you need to be aware of that. That law passed last year, March 2015. All right, let me answer Ahmed's question, and then I'm going to go back to some things you want to know and do about debt collectors. And so you know they can't call you after a certain time. Is that their time zone? No, it's all about you. So it's all about your time zone. So they can't call you within your time. And actually, collection agencies have to legally have the right to collect the debt in your state as well. So if a collection agency is across the country in California, they have to have the legal right to collect a debt in Maryland, if you're in Maryland or DC or Arizona, wherever you are. Okay, so they have to have the legal right to collect that debt, and they have to contact you within your time zone. And a couple of things that people don't realize, and I got all this information is on my website. I'm going to give you a lot of information tonight. Another writer downer, creditwithchris.com. Creditwithchris.com. There's some information out there about the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, what I'm talking about today. Go under services on the left side, and it's right there. And as a matter of fact, I have some audios, which is kind of cool. You got nothing to do. You want to listen to somebody's conversations. If you got debt collectors calling you, it's worth your while to do this. So I have a couple of sample audios that are actually illegal. And when you listen to them, you're like, yeah, I just got a call like this last week. Well, they are illegal calls. So you want to make sure that you kind of brush yourself up on that law and know what they can and cannot do. A couple things. They can't be calling you at work. If they call you at work, all you have to do is tell them one time, yo, don't call me at work. This is my work number. Then they have to cease contacting you at work. They cannot call your grandma and them. They cannot call third party people, and leave all these personal information about you. So if they're doing that, that's also, especially the way they're maybe probably doing it. They cannot threaten to sue you. Either they're going to sue you or not. They can't threaten to sue you. That's actually illegal. So I have a whole list of things that they can and cannot do. So make sure you contact me if you're not sure. Let's say, though, a collection agency is not breaking the law. They just trying to do their job. There are some good people out there, by the way, and they're just trying to do their job. So what I want to go over with you tonight is to give you a couple of tips about how to deal with that, right? How do you deal with, these debt collections, and what should I pay, shouldn't I pay? The one thing you might want to be mindful about and try your best, if it's in the budget, is to avoid a payment plan. So a payment plan is great if you have to do what you got to do, right? But if you could try to avoid that, because a payment plan is not going to be reflective on your credit report as well as a pay in full. And what I mean by that is once you pay it, it's going to be updated right away, or within a 30-day period or whatever. But it's going to get updated. A payment plan does not update on your credit report. So a payment plan, you could be paying them $100 a month. It's going to still look like you owe the full amount until they get it paid. So if you can help it, do a settlement or pay it in full, but try to avoid a payment plan. By the way, when you talk to a collection agency and you ask them, what's the difference if I pay this in full and how is this going to affect my credit? They legally are not even supposed to answer that. And we know that they do. Most of the time they try to persuade you to pay it in full because it'll be better for your credit. But they're actually legally not even supposed to respond as to how your payment will affect your credit. But they do. They do it all the time. But they're not supposed to. So from a financial perspective, it's usually better for you to do a lump sum payment, even if it's a settlement, because you get that debt paid for, versus a payment plan. You will tend to pay more for it. And then from a credit perspective, it's better because, again, it immediately starts to update your credit. And so you want to try to do that if you can. Now, if you need to negotiate with your collection agencies and you're paying the debt, be mindful that if it's like I said, Dr. Smith's account, if you go back to Dr. Smith and have your second appointment and you pay Dr. Smith on your way out with the receptionist, like, oh, snap, I forgot, I owe this debt. Let me go ahead and pay for today's services and last year's services. Well, you better stay on top of Dr. Smith and that receptionist. Like, you need to get to know him or her really good, because they have got to get that information back to the collection agency and basically acknowledge that it's been paid, because the collection agency is the one, if they're the reporting creditor, that's sending the information to if y'all not getting this, I'll make sure you have a replay and you can understand it. But anyway, just be long story short, if you pay your original creditor, you need to make sure, there you go, Ahmed. You need to make sure that you're following up appropriately and that payment information is being updated to the collection agency. In a lot of cases, it's better to just deal with the collection agency directly at that point if it's already at the collection agency, because then you'll make sure that it gets updated properly. So a couple things real quick, some writer-downers you want to do. I'm going to go through 5. Do I have 5? I think 5 steps on and 5 kind of action plans to negotiate with your debt collectors or your creditors. First of all, take your credit report. So you got to get a copy of it. Annualcreditreport.com, get your copy. Take your credit report and write the stuff down, just like a budget. If you got 2, it's going to be quick. If you got 25, it's going to take a little longer. But put it in order. Figure out like an inventory. Who do I owe? How old is the debt? How much is the debt? You know, are they any pending lawsuits right now? And if you're not sure about that, like just like Ahmed asked about statutes of limitations, each state also has public records. Every so often, you probably should check your state, make sure you're not being sued. Maybe you moved and you didn't get a summons. So here's the steps. First of all, put it in order. Again, inventory. What are you working with? Who's the original creditor? Who's the collection agencies? What's the date of the services? What's the first date of delinquency? Kind of start getting a feel of that. What's the balances? What do I owe? And then once you have that information, you can prioritize it. So maybe you can look at, again, who's about to sue me? That's going to be your number one account you want to deal with. Then, as I've jotted down, you want to deal with, is this with the original creditor or has it gone out, been assigned or sold to a collection agency? Maybe your negotiations could make a big difference about that. What is, again, you can prioritize by the amount of the debt, the interest rate, and then the delinquency date. So you want to inventory it and then you want to prioritize it. And then you want to make sure that, you know, again, if it's too big, say you got an IRS debt. By the way, do y'all know that IRS debt, all you have to do is call them and get on the payment plan? So don't run from the IRS. Call them up, get on the payment plan, and work that thing out and pay the IRS back. So if it's a really, really big amount, then you want to start talking about how am I going to prepare to get this paid back? How do I, you know, is it $10? Is it $100? Is it $1,000? What do I need to do to position myself to be able to get this payback? So you start maybe saving up some money. So maybe you've gotten your accounts, you know, in these, you've inventoried them, you put them in priority, and now you maybe need to get yourself ready to pay, right? You got to start saving something. And then you want to call. And again, remember, try to avoid payment plans. Try to do lump sums if you can. And if you need to take one at a time, you can do it. Listen, this is what people charge for, those settlement companies that charge you to do this. You can do it yourself once you know the strategy. All right, don't be signing up with a debt settlement company. You can do this stuff yourself. So you want to start calling and you want to start negotiating. Listen, don't try to give them 10% of the debt. That ain't gonna happen, right? I would start somewhere maybe at 50%, 40%. You know, you might be somewhere around that 50. It depends on the age of the account. The older the account, the less they'll take. The newer the account, don't even think about it. Try to give them 20% of the debt, right? Because would you want 20% of the debt if somebody just owed you from last week? Right. So think about that. But you want to start calling and start to negotiate with your creditors. And then once you've negotiated, you always are negotiating pay in full, even if you settle. Yeah. So even if you settle, you want to settle in full. Don't do a settlement offer with a debt collector or a collection agency and don't get the right language. That's the 5th thing, by the way, is to confirm it and get it in writing. There's nothing worse than you doing a settlement arrangement with an account, and then a few years later they come back and say, no, you still owe us because the account wasn't closed. What a bummer. And that will happen to you. So you got to make sure that when you pay it, even if it's a settlement of less than you owe settlement, that you get it settled in full, close that puppy up, done, get the right paperwork. Don't be just sending no checks in the mail and then don't get anything back from them. You need to pay it, then get it done. So Kale, you are on it, girl. The check is in the mail. I love you. Look at you. So inventory your accounts, get them in the right kind of order, figure out what it is that you have first, and then prioritize them, looking at the dates, the amounts. What are the things that you can knock off first? Hey, I don't think I said it, but do I need to say it? Don't try to pay a $10,000 debt when you could have paid off $100 debts. Knock off them small ones first. Get your small wins. Celebrate yourself. Don't be trying to pay off a $10,000 debt. It'll take you forever to be able to do that. But you want to make sure that, Gail is on point. She is like on it. I'm glad that at least maybe this is interesting to her and she's not just serving me, but I appreciate you. I love you so much for that. All right. So those are some of the things that we want to talk about. Oh, I got a sample script. Some of y'all are wondering, what do I say? By the way, I will be happy to do this for you too. We do this. We do help our clients with negotiating debt. But if you want to know kind of what to say, here's a few things that you don't want to say. Don't tell the collection agency that you want to buy a house. Like, I really need to get my credit straight because here's what I want to do, because you owe them money, right? So if you kind of tell them, I want to do it because I need something, they may not be as prone to help you out. It's just that psychology, right? I mean, unless you get a really nice person who wants to do the same thing, but sometimes be careful of how much information you are sharing with them. But you just simply say, it's a $500 debt, a $600 debt. I just noticed that this is on my credit report, and I have $200. I would like to settle this account in full. Pause. Let them tell you, have you, smoked crack today? Or yes, that sounds like a good settlement offer. And then again, make sure that you get your right documentation. So you want to, if they say, I'm sorry, we can't accept that amount, then you want to say, this is what I have. How much will you accept? And then you start negotiating. Now, negotiations are negotiations. You might have to meet somewhere in the middle. So you want to start really probably lower than where you really want to be so that you have some room to work. But you can negotiate. Everything is negotiable. I negotiated a garnished Bank of America judgment. And we got it at 50%. She wrote a check for half the debt. They stopped the garnishment and satisfied the judgment. So if we could do that, everything is negotiable. Just kind of know what to do. And again, they may counter your offer. That's cool. Don't panic. You still have control. You got the purse strings. Just try to come up with something that is going to be amicable and that you can agree to pay. The worst thing, though, is that you negotiate something and then you can't pay it. All right. So make sure whatever you negotiate that you actually, that's funny. Gail, you owe $10,000, but you want to buy a new car. Right. Yeah. I actually, I can't say that because I don't know who's watching. Can't give y'all some client examples, but I've had some really interesting things when people want to negotiate and they had a whole lot of debt and they want to negotiate to do something for them, and folk can read right through it. And they weren't they didn't work with me very much. But anyway, so those are tips I wanted to share with you. We're halfway through. Want to open up for some folks. If anybody has any questions, I just wanted to share with you some of those things about debt collectors. And hopefully you already, if you haven't already, get your phones out. If you're probably not watching this blab on your phone anyway. If you are, I think you can multitask as long as you don't have Sprint. Anyway, it's a whole nother story. But text to me the word truth for a copy of Truth About Credit, What Our Parents Didn't Tell Us. Text in the word truth to 301-880-0041. Again, that's 301-880-0041. Party's not over. Want to still make myself available if anybody has any questions that you would like for me to answer. If you'd like to jump on, say hey, or ask me any questions. Remember, no questions, it doesn't matter. Your questions does not really kind of define your credit score. You could be asking a question for somebody else. You can also be asking a question because it's something that you just want clarity on. So just because you jump in the seat, Gail, I see you. Oh, no, you just put the thing up. Just because you jump in the seat does not mean that that is reflective of where you are. But you know what? If you're confident, if you want your answers, who gives a hootie about what somebody thinks about you? If you need to jump in this seat and talk to me and look at me and ask me these questions, get your hot tail in the seat so that we can talk. But if you want to just send your questions up, remember it's /Q, and you can send your questions in to me as well. So I see my girl is jumping in, my man is jumping in. All right, y'all, I don't think I'm supposed to do nothing.
There you go.
Oh, there y'all go. There y'all go. What's up? What's up? So at least when this blab gets a replay, it won't be just me sitting up there.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be me and our Manny Gale.
Okay, so first of all, you
All
are
right,
so
what's up?
funny, and I can imagine. I don't. If you need to write a book about all the crazy stuff some of your clients have tried to do, all these anonymous names, but I'm telling you, that would be hilarious. Okay.
Well, let me tell you this one, because nobody's gonna know that. I'm gonna tell you this really funny. So one of my people called me and he wanted me to help negotiate what he thought was a $5,000 past due HOA. By the way, y'all, if you have a house that went into foreclosure, but you have an HOA fee, that HOA fee still has to get paid. It is outstanding debt. I don't care. Up until the house is sold, it's your responsibility. So a lot of times we think if we don't pay the mortgage, we don't have to pay the HOA fee. So I had somebody that wind up, he thought he had $5,000 worth of debt. He had $20,000 worth of debt, HOA fees, but he needed it paid because he needed to move forward with a transaction on his current home. And so the attorney flat out told me, and I was trying to get it done quickly, right? The attorney was like, I've been trying to call your client for 7 years, and now you want to rush me? He said, I'm going on vacation. I'll call you when I get back in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, snap. I was like, well, I mean, I said, of course, is there anyone else in your office that I can communicate with? And he was like, no, this file's on my desk. Like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? So he had already let the cat out of the bag that he needed this done very quickly. So the guy was not trying to work with us. But anyway, what can I do for you guys tonight? Did y'all have questions or you just wanted to come in and say,
I have a question. So I have this friend.
Okay, yeah. We all got them friends. We all got them friends.
No,
right.
Let me see something. Let me see. How'd this thing go?
What had happened was.
I know what had happened was back in like 2006. No, 2008. And really, this is one of my children. I'll just put it like that. So.
Yeah, put the boys out there.
It really is. Okay.
Blame it on the kids.
So in 2008, there was an eviction. Okay. And so let me see. 2012, and so it shows up on the credit report. Now it went through a suit, and I think some of this fits right in everything you were talking about tonight. It went into a suit. He went to court. He set up a payment arrangement, but then he got laid off and he didn't keep up with that arrangement. Oh. So now what year is this? This 2016. He wants to move into, the house is not a problem. He wants to move into another apartment, and that is still being reflected on his credit report.
So what date did he stop making the second payment? Like,
it was like
there was an arrangement made?
I think it's either 2011, 2012.
That's when that clock started again.
So is there any way that he can potentially get that removed from his report? Because literally the only thing that's stopping him from getting approved for another apartment.
Yeah, so a couple things. Remember that apartments and like banks use their own internal reporting system called check system. Yeah. So no matter what you do on your credit report, you can go to the master cleanup man himself. That's somebody who illegally removes everything off your credit report. but it's not reflected in the check system. So the leasing industry, rentals, leases, they use an internal system as well. It's the rental history database. And so even if something gets removed, which by the way, everything can be removed, anything can be removed off a credit report. But even if it gets removed off the credit report, it may still be reflected in this database. So it's kind of hard to say. And usually the apartment or housing agency or whomever that put that's like the bank. They have to be the one that says, no, they're good and clear them out of that particular database. So we can work on getting the negative remark off the credit report, but it may still be reflected in the database.
So you do better off buying a house.
Well, let's talk about that.
I mean,
so if it's a judgment and the judgment is still open and has not been satisfied, a lender is probably going to require that judgment be paid or that there's a payment plan on that debt, because they are not going to want to give a new mortgage on an open public record, liens, judgments, because those things can attach itself to that new collateral. So, so we still have to, deal with it.
But let me ask this, though. I mean? If he had that removed from his report, they're not going into that internal. See, you know me, okay? You know me. Good. So, if they don't see it on the report, then you can move forward.
Well,
and I know
calling all lenders. So if anybody's watching, that is a lender.
Outside.
Yeah. So. Oh, there we go. See, I just said calling all lenders, and the lender said that is correct. Now, if there was something like that is correct. So if there was something like bankruptcy, where on the 1003, which is the loan application, it'll ask, "Have you filed bankruptcy in the last?" I think it's 7 years.
I think it's
or so. You better say yeah, but you better say yeah, right? Because if not, you falsifying the document. But if there's no questions on that application or that 1003 that says, "Do you have an open judgment?" and that judgment is not reflective on the credit report, I think that is our answer. So the lend to TX, and if you want to jump in and make sure that we are,
join this conversation.
We are.
Hi, Robert. Hey, Robert. Join this conversation so I can have some clarity.
Right. Hey, I love it. We ask and he shall appear.
He's kind of cute.
It's been a long day.
I love it.
I'm sorry.
It's been a long day. So
I heard
that. I don't have my tie on, but what you're saying, Miss is it Chris? Miss Chris Bridges? Yeah.
I'm Chris.
How you doing? How you doing? The question is about judgments, correct? Right. So you guys are right on. As a lender, when I pull that credit report, that tri-merge, down in the public record section, if it doesn't show up, it doesn't happen. However, I'm starting to see that we're running a lot of reports on the back end, and more times than not, we're going to find out if there's an outstanding judgment, and it must be paid off. You can't have a payment plan on a judgment. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if it's
all
right, go ahead, Ahmed. I love it.
Now, if he's getting if he's buying a note or getting financing from me, I wouldn't care.
I knew it.
There you go.
I was waiting.
Man, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So there's
Oh wait, wait a minute, hold up.
We're talking about those folk who don't have access to a man who are trying to do it the old-fashioned way.
Wait, look, okay. This is a Gail thing, y'all. Okay, we do not kill birds with two stones, and we do not skin cats. I'm just saying.
I'm in Texas. They skin everything, so I apologize.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah.
That's y'all hilarious.
But so see, here's the thing, man. These minds are all here, and see, Mr. Lender, your job is to get some money, get it done, right?
And
so we got Mr. Ahmed that know how to be creative, and this is like, I am loving this quadrant right here. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead. I'm done.
But so let me just put my credit like good hat on here though. Because outside of buying that house, because you can buy a house with bad credit, right, Robert? You don't have to have great credit to buy a house. I mean, 640 is not great credit. So outside of that house, living, the best life ever, we still want to address this stuff.
And
that's why we got.
But short term, you can do what you got to do.
If I may, I agree with Chris because I'm late to the show, but insurance, medical insurance. They're going to a FICO-based model for everything. And people have to understand, thank God for Ahmed, but that should be a short-term fix, not to step on your business, brother. But, you serve a purpose and a niche. But like Miss Chris is saying,
absolutely,
this credit thing goes deep, and folks better start addressing it because we lost the host of the show. Oh, man, I lost him. Let me, did I kill the internet? You guys still there? Hello. Let me refresh. You guys back?
We're coming. There you go. What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Man, look at
that was
so odd. Your name, Robert.
Boom. Well, look, that's because the enemy trying to stop us from sharing this good stuff. And we are sharing it, although I don't know how I got on the bottom. Oh, where Robert go? We done lost
Robert live.
No, I'm here.
You there? No, you don't.
We don't.
There we go.
That was crazy.
It was.
Okay, let's see. Ahmed is trying to come, but this is crazy.
And that was crazy, but that's all right. Come on back in here. That's all right. Come on back in
here.
On.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. Well, Kimberly said that happened to her the other.
But Robert was saying every system was going to a FICO-based model. Continue.
Yeah, so it's going to a FICO-based model. So what Mrs. Chris is saying is important. And then what I love about Blab and even this conversation, there's room for everybody to prosper. Ahmed, I'm sure you got more business than you know what to do with, and I'm sure you'll be the first person to tell somebody, hey, get your credit fixed. Get into a traditional interest rate if you can, because it costs you thousands of dollars on the back end. But we all know and understand that they'll have folks that, I don't know how you structure your deals, but 2 years might pass by and they're supposed to pay you off, and they still haven't addressed the credit.
Right.
And I know, and I'll say this, and I know Miss Chris will probably say from what I'm looking at, I just got so much to say, but I'm a hush. What I'm looking at
it's all right.
Most of the time, people's credit is jammed up, for lack of a better term, for less than $3,500. Yeah. But they got $300,000 houses and big cars and all this. Fix your credit, please.
But it all comes down to lack of knowledge in some respects, and then lack of we talk about priority. I don't know if you came in, I went through a 5 kind of step process in dealing with collections. And one of the things is prioritizing. And, I can't tell you, I tell people I have a huge database, but I have one particular list. And this list are all the people who have reached out to me in some way since 2008, I should say, since I've been on this platform. One list alone, just one list that said, I've talked to you, like you have reached out and you've said, I need help with my credit. It's over 500 people. Wow. Now, they have not been migrated into the client list, which means you've said, I need help, and yet you haven't done anything. So that tells it there's a lot of people that need the help. Maybe it's just understanding what to do next. It's a simple thing, but we don't always take action until we want to buy a house. Gail will be back in a minute. Don't worry about it. She'll be back. Okay. Gail, you left off. Come on back in here.
Well, Chris, one thing is that I've gone to college and I've studied advanced calculus, but no one ever told me about credit. So it's not taught. So it's a deja vu subject. It's kind of like, if I don't address it, then it'll go away.
Right.
But we know that it doesn't, and until it really becomes a life stopper, not showstopper, but life stopper. Like I can't move forward. I need a better job, but I can't because my credit is challenged. Or, I've had people say to me, I've put off my engagement because my man does not know how bad my credit is jacked up. When you have stopped living your life and making life decisions, I'm so serious because of your credit, because you don't know what to do about it, but you're afraid to, go to the next level in your life. We got a problem. So, one thing is the lack of knowledge, getting access to the knowledge, and then what do you do with it?
Right.
If you don't apply it and do nothing with it, but that's again my soapbox. But I guess it's my show, I can do that. Yeah. It's just my little soapbox about that. All right.
Well, as a debt collector, I could do short-term fixes, but my ultimate goal is to help the person get back on track, and put them with somebody like Chris to help them repair their credit. So when it does come time, like Robert said, for them to refinance, that they could refinance and cash me out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we need to talk about that, man. That's a good strategy.
Yes. Hey,
we need to make sure that that's like a workflow.
Right.
Yeah, that's a requirement. Yeah.
Man, did you and Robert know each other before?
No.
Oh, okay. Robert, you just don't know what you just got into. I'm just going to let you know. Okay.
Well, I tell you, I've been on Blab. You can look at the profile, I think 45 days, because I'm trying to look at this platform to see if it can help in my business. What I'm finding is this. I'm not even going to use it for business because, finances is not a sexy topic. Nobody wants to talk about
it. You got to make it sexy.
Well, but that's what you're doing, Miss Chris, because you're telling the truth.
Yeah,
you're telling the truth.
No, I know what you're saying. Absolutely.
But I think if I could get on with, because I'm not about money anymore. The Lord, I'm good. Money's coming. I'm really trying to help people.
Clap it up.
Really trying to help people, and this credit issue is very, very, very important. And just like what Ahmed saying, what we all don't realize in America, everybody's in the housing industry. We all are. We all are. When we bailed out in 2009, that's our money, right?
Yeah.
So once we start educating, like you're saying, and just to get specific, I have a question for you, Miss Chris. Just saw this today. I'm so tired of these so-called credit repair companies taking advantage of people, especially ones that got my melatonin, look like me. And all they're doing is putting disputes on trade lines, and we know once it's disputed, it's removed from the algorithm. The score goes up on these vanity platforms that they're looking at credit, only to come to me when they look at my model, a lender's model, where they should have came. And it's a 100-point swing. It's a difference.
Right.
Right.
So let me break that down into layman's terms, because some of y'all probably don't know, what does he mean? Vanity and all of that. So what happens is there are hundreds of different scoring models. So there are different places where you can get your credit score. Credit Karma is one of them, and we like that because it's free. But Credit Karma uses a particular scoring model, which is the algorithms that's used to calculate your score. Well, you cannot take that Credit Karma report and walk into Robert's office and ask for a mortgage. So what happens then is he's pulling from the industry, which, by the way, to give you an idea, and Robert, look at this tomorrow or tonight, if you're doing work tonight, look at the FICO versions of the reports that you have. You probably are still pulling. You're pulling 9?
We're still pulling 9.
No, still 9 is new. The ones I see are versions 4 and versions 5.
We're on 9. We're on FICO.
Well, y'all are the bomb.
Yes,
okay, because the FICO 9 version just came out like a year and a half, like 2 years ago, and that's new.
That's the model we're using. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually really cool. But anyway, so what happens, guys, is when we go to different industries and we're looking at our reports from different sources, the scores are different. And what the little, I don't know what you want to put, the little piece he threw in there was when you dispute, the credit system does not know if you really owe it or not, hence a dispute. So when you're disputing it, it puts it into kind of this false positive, and it increases your score because it doesn't know if you owe this negative debt or not. So then you've got potentially some of your trade lines all say account in dispute, account in dispute, account in dispute. If the creditor put that note up, by the way, that comes from the creditors. So then you go to the lender And I don't know about your situation, Robert, but I know some lenders, especially if there's a balance on that account, are like, whoa, I can't run it through Fannie Mae's underwriting system. So you got to go back and take all those disputes off. Is that the same issue you have?
So the guidelines have been updated a little bit. That was the case. But now what we're doing, even on conventional loans, but now what we're doing, we're having, like most people do FHA loans. I'll use that as an example. We're having to take, if you have an aggregate balance of $2,000 or more, now I have to take a 5% hit on that balance that's disputed or in collections and put that in your debt to income ratio for qualification. So what I'm saying is that's another piece that a lot of people don't realize. If the credit is just really, really bad and you came to me first as a lender, then I have an Ahmed in my database to where if we really can't get you in right now, we got a solution. Short term, and he'll tell you it's gonna cost you. It's like everything else. When you wait till it costs you.
when you come to see me, it's gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you. Right? But we gonna be honest with you, right, man? We gonna keep it 100.
That's right.
It's gonna cost you. But if you do what we're telling you to do, you could come back to me, and before you come to me, I'm gonna send you to Chris and do what she's telling you to do, so that you can get your situation together. But most people don't realize is that they do the opposite, try to do credit repair on their own. They don't come to me, the source who's making the decision. And I said all that to say, I'm doing loans with people with middle scores down to 580, and they don't have to pay off any of that kind of stuff. So like Miss Kim is saying over in the sideline, it's a generational thing, lack of education. And so what I would like to add with this, let's start with the kids specifically, like with my children. They need to understand money, how to balance a checkbook, right? Have a checking account, how to save, how to give to others. And then one key thing for credit that I did for my son, when he's 14, I put him on my American Express as an authorized user. He doesn't know anything about it.
At 14?
Well, he's 750 plus. He's different. But like she said, I'm breaking the cycle. So this is something that folks can do to help the kids understand credit.
Absolutely.
And have that leg up.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, you can do that. I tell everybody next month I'm celebrating my 50. And I was speaking over the weekend and I said, if I needed this, that's right, Gail, clap it up for me. Clap it up for me. Okay. Anyway, I tell people, if I needed that authorized user strategy, I would do it too. So it's not just for our young adults. We all need to do it. Ahmed, were you going to say something?
Yeah, Chris, I think you should create that platform for younger people, to as an education source, like a training camp or something.
Yeah, and I'm hoping one of my friends is not watching because I'm supposed to be working on a children's book like for the last 6 months.
Yeah, we need that.
So, I know. All right, that's encouragement. That's motivation. I need to get that going. I was supposed to do a children's book like back in the summer. We need to do that and I think that there is an ear to hear. There is a whole community out here that hears us, right? That understands that this is necessary,
right?
And it's funny if we think about like Robert, we're all kind of saying we weren't taught about credit, maybe not formally, but we really were. If you think about it, you looked at and you mimicked your environment. So if everybody in your environment went to the payday loans every Friday or went to the check cashing place because they didn't get a bank account, that's what you did. I mean, seriously, that was your norm.
I know. Right? My father today gets money orders. He still buys money orders.
So he probably wasn't trained. I mean, not trained, but he wasn't necessarily. He didn't see people using the banking institutions and financial, and that's what you do.
Right. Go ahead, man. Kimberly, you're right. I'm sorry, but Kimberly, see, I think I kind of know.
That's it right there.
Up in here. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You told me. Anyway, go ahead.
I just had a aha moment because I'm a debt collector. And that was going to be my question to you, Chris, just about becoming more familiar nationwide, because I have a servicer that is licensed in all 50 states and they do the debt collecting, but I have to make sure that they are following the proper rules as well.
Oh, yeah. Any furnisher, if you are a furnisher of debt, meaning that you put you send the information out to the credit bureaus, you have to follow you have to follow these federal guidelines. So we'll want to talk about that. I mean, I don't know if it's like your collection agency. I mean, your servicer is not going to be the collection agency unless it goes into default. So your servicer per se is the one that has to follow all of these same rules and regulations.
Right, but I have to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do.
For consumer protection.
But one thing about me, the aha moment that I just had was this, that growing up, I didn't see, I wasn't really involved in the credit piece. Like my parents did everything with cash. And I'm that way at heart. I don't like credit cards. I don't like any of that. I'd rather pay everything with cash.
But there's nothing wrong with that. So there's nothing wrong with that methodology. The only problem is you have to play in the credit system. You have to play in it. You have to have something. But you can have it and then manage it well and wise. And say if you have a credit card, you charge it and you pay it with cash. You have to learn how to balance both worlds. I mean, you got to have your toes in both sides like a seesaw. Right.
Yeah, because the other thing too is that it's leverage. So if you were to have a credit card and you purchased a business, or you purchased something that you were able to then turn over, you purchased something at an auction, an antique shop or whatever, that you then turned over and made a profit off of it. There's nothing wrong with having credit in that way. As Chris said, the problem is not credit, it's consumerism to me is more of the issue than just having the credit.
Go ahead, Ahmad.
I want to make 2 quick points. One was just that the aha moment was like, wait a minute, I'm behaving the same way my parents have behaved.
Right. Right.
The other point is, and Gail, this is something that will keep us on the phone for 2 hours.
I know, right?
But there's something that I use called hypothecation, which is I use a lot of times the loans that I currently own as leverage to get access to more capital.
Right. See. Yeah. Man, Robert, let me tell you, stay tuned, okay? Because I think this is, first of all, anytime I have a conversation with our mayor, we get scared because we don't know how long we're going to be on the phone.
Well, tonight on this blab, y'all won't be on here.
I know.
Y'all can have that conversation. but somebody will open up another one.
But the thing is, every time we get into this conversation with other people, a lot of people are thinking the same way. I didn't know. I want to know. And not do I just want to know what I didn't know, but I want to know more. I want to know what the other people know. So that's the thing. It gets expansive because to me, once we can get out of this part, the minutia of just paying off people that we owe and start really learning how to build really sustained wealth, that's where it gets like really exciting. And so it's so to me, kind of just looking at the components that each of you have, it's like that's a huge thing that you could package to say, you need to get, let Chris teach you about how to start it, how to maintain it, what to do when you get in trouble. Right. Let Robert say, this is what you need to do to buy a house. Let Ahmed say, this is what you need to do to just be, wealthy.
Yeah. Because here's what knowledge does. Knowledge becomes your lifeline.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, just like we all said, our parents didn't teach us about credit. And if we had the financial capacity to just pay our bills, no hiccup, no hardship, I didn't lose my job, I didn't transition to a lower paying job, my spouse didn't pass away. We've all either been there or know someone that's been there, right? So if life never happened to us, we'd be good. We'd be in the 800 club. But, you know what I mean? You would be. So it's when those unforeseen things come, or we make a decision that maybe I should have paid this creditor instead of that creditor. I could have got 10 more points. that's where that knowledge comes from. Or when you're going through that rough time, it's not to say that rough time is not going to come. I tell my clients, I can't predict if I could, I would be with Ahmed, I'd be a millionaire. I can't do that. And so, but what I could do is I can give you something that you can fall back on. It's like the word sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like you got that, you got to fall back on when you go through tough times, you pull out your Bible, you go through that's your word. That's what knowledge about credit kind of gives people is a lifeblood. So when I can maybe get back on their feet or get to a better place, they can make better decisions. So that knowledge is so vitally important. Robert, did you want to say something?
Just want to add 3 practical things, 3 free gifts we're giving tonight. Number one. I love it. Number 1, all you need is 1 revolving credit card. Miss Chris, you correct me if I'm wrong. The reason you need a revolving credit card is like Gail is telling you, man, you got to be in the system. You got to play that game. But you do not have to have a balance on it because it's going to report every 6 months. If you're not in the system every 6 months, you have 0 scores. You don't exist. So that's why you have to have 1 revolving card. 1A, if you do get that revolving card, whatever the available credit limit is, obviously we want to keep 0 because we're trying to change habits and paradigms. But if you carry a balance, my opinion is no more than 20% of the available credit limit. And that's always going to keep your scores low. Like Miss Chris is saying, revolving credit is like blood sugar. You can pay it down and it will immediately affect your score up or down.
Immediately.
Or you could grow it, or you could blow it up. So that's number 1. Number 2, we got to learn how to live beneath our means, especially if we're the first generation getting the knowledge from our parents that didn't know any better. Somebody's got to sacrifice for the kids or whoever's coming down the line.
So I got to think about that. Go ahead.
Now, when you sacrifice and live beneath your means, now you quit becoming a borrower serving to the lender, and you have time to get on Blab and do some of this stuff because you don't have nowhere to go tomorrow, or you don't necessarily have to be pressed to be like there. I'm gonna be like a man one day. You dealing with big paper, right? When you buying debt and things of that nature. But that only comes when you have the freedom to move around because you're not trying to pay for a lot of stuff that you've accumulated thinking that you're wealthy. You're not. You're in debt. You're a consumer, like Ms. Gail is saying. And the last thing is this. I see more people when life happens, like Mr. Chris is saying, get into trouble because you can't touch $1,500. Save $1,500 and put it
in the comma club. Get in the comma club.
Right? When those tires go out that you didn't expect, that's $1,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Put $1,500 to the side. So those are some practical things that we can do starting tomorrow, that will help out your situation. That's all I want to say.
And finally, once you get with Chris, Rob, and me, then Gail will show you how to build your business and get back on track with that.
It sound like another Blab coming on this. Yeah, the right people got in the seat with me tonight.
I know, man. I'm telling you. I'm loving this. I know.
That's good stuff. All right, so look, we want to also make sure that if somebody is over in the feed watching, it's not too late to tell other people to jump in. Well, it's after 9. I was going to say, it's after 9. I know. I was going to say if anybody else wanted to. Oh, they jumping out. All right. Well, listen, Robert, it was a pleasure meeting you on the broadcast tonight. Please make sure, I think we followed each other. So I do these conversations about credit. Tonight seems like it was a good time. I'm still trying to move it around to find the best time that we can get as many people as we can on. So I appreciate you, though, for coming in. And Ahmed, obviously, thank you for being a part of the discussion. Very, very great discussion. So these 2 guys, they left the women because, women rock, right? Women rock. That's it. But if anybody else wants to come in, I want to just open it up for a few minutes while we kind of do our pleasantries and say goodbye. I'm not going to be on here all night. I got to put my daughter to bed. But for those of it, it's real. What, Gail?
This is okay. I'm sorry. Blab is really doing some special things this evening. For whatever, it knocked out the recording, or did you stop the recording?
Oh, crap.
Okay, now
excuse me. But you know what? No.
This crap. I mean, that's tame.
Off the record. But am I on the record or off the record? But I was on with Ahmed, and then I had to go off because I couldn't see the side. I don't remember.
Well, no, I put it. There were a couple of times that it had done this when all kind of weird things was happening. So I kept cutting it back on. It just blanked out again. So, and I don't know at what point, but
that was some good stuff. I hope it recorded majority of the conversation.
It captured that. I do know it did capture the bulk of that conversation when we were in here. So it just seemed like it just went out like right soon as they popped off.
So we can talk about Ahmed and Robert then because it's not recorded.
No, I just hit the record button again. Okay. So
don't mistake me. Yeah, we off the record though.
No, we are. Kim. Yeah. So Kimberly was saying that a lot of this stuff has been going on.
We about to go anyway.
I know. We got to go, y'all.
Who's got something going on? Put in the feed if you have a blab coming up. If you're going to be talking about something you want to share with people.
Oh, I do.
Okay, put it in the feed so people can follow you. And
okay. Well, everybody that's in here follows me in here.
Gail, think big, Gail. It's thousands of people. Okay. It's thousands of people following us. Think big.
Okay. All right, tomorrow, guys, I'm doing it's the Monetize Your Blab show. What I say? The Monetize Your
Blab, and then the journey is on Mondays at 8:00 Eastern. I like that.
Yeah, right. Okay. The journey is on Mondays. Okay.
I love it.
Well, we're gonna have to get a TV guide.
I know. How about that? Somebody should create that. You should put together a site that we can all go to, like a calendar online.
I should do that. Right. I should. Okay.
Just for our friends. Just for our friends. Like, we want to support each other. Okay. We should do that. Okay. Kimberly's topic is
Kimberly, put your actual like how we connect with that show. What's it called?
She's doing it.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
I love it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And
so, Gail, are you gonna teach us how to monetize our blabs?
Yeah, I've been doing that. And then, now for the folk that's up in, this is for everybody. This is a special. This is special.
Okay.
I decided to do today.
I love it.
On Saturday, I think I'm going to do it at 8 p.m. I'm doing this in honor of Black History Month. So here are the rules. I'm going to put it out there, but the rules are this. You come and you bring a something either past or present, a historical African American fact, but it cannot be about Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. I know Rosa Parks,
the easy ones.
Okay, right. Okay. Because the whole lot of stuff happened before them and after them. Those are not the only people in the African American experience.
Absolutely.
So that's the only rule. It cannot be a regular everyday person that we hear about every time this comes up. So and plus it gives people opportunity to go and actually really. At least I don't know about y'all's Facebook page, but mine is just off the chain. People are putting stuff up that is like, really? I didn't know that. Know that.
Good stuff.
And that's what I want to be able to see. So I want to bring those stories to the platform on Saturday evening, and let's see how this goes.
What time is it, Gail? Is it before bedtime or after bedtime?
Yeah. Well, it all depends on who you got. Children, it's going to be like 8:00.
I'm talking about my bedtime, not the kids.
Well, I can't make it at 2. Oh, that's right. Well, you have to go. You probably got.
No, I'm good. I'm Saturday.
Okay, you good? Okay, good.
I'm being
funny.
I'm
really hoping, like I said, I'm going to put it together. I'm going to put it out there. Please, y'all got to come and bring as many people to the deal as you can, because I just think this is going to be a really interesting, great opportunity for us to learn a lot of stuff that we didn't know. And like I said, and it doesn't have to be about what happened 100 years ago. I mean, there are kids and young people that are doing stuff today that they're the first to do this and that or the third, or it's
celebrate
excelling.
Us.
Say it again.
I said we should celebrate us. That's good stuff.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's good stuff.
That's what this is for. And I don't care if it's controversial, whatever. It doesn't matter. I want to be able to engage and get into the discussion about it so we can expand. Because again, if we expand, then we can expand our circle, our children and grandchildren.
And you know what? I'm going to say this because Taylor did something last year for Black History Month, and she did a research project on my great uncle. And there are people, it's J. Rupert Picott. There are people that are right in our families, probably. So it will maybe encourage and motivate us. You know, I'm not saying you got to join Ancestor.com or whatever it is, but go and ask around. There are probably people in your family that have made a significant impact in our community and some of the things that they have done. I know my cousin is Tony Perkins, and there are some things that his father wasn't, involved in, and has made some impact in his area. So that's exciting, Gail. So make sure that we do that.
Yeah, so that's what I thought that could be a good little project for us to do.
Yeah, and I doubt it if you might be back on a Blab show, but I won't be doing a show between now and Sunday. So let me also shout out for Happy Love Day. Now, for those of you who wait until February the 14th to show your significant other or family members some love, shame on you. Because my thing, Gail, don't be waiting out Christmas. If you don't say nothing nice to me or gave me nothing in my way of, it doesn't have to be monetary, but you can save it on Christmas. So my husband knows, don't be bringing me no flowers. I think that's the biggest waste of money. Go pick me something outside and just bring it in. But it's acts of gesture, of kindness. That's what I'm about. That's one time in a year you won't bring some flowers home. What is that? So shout out to you men.
My money and my stuff every
day. That's why I like that man. I like him.
I know, man.
I'll be waiting on Sunday. But if you ain't done nothing, just at least do it on Sunday.
That is too funny. That's funny.
But happy Valentine's Day to everybody as well. All right, girl, I gotta go because I gotta be all night. All right. Hey, listen, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Conversations about Credit with Chris. It is not about me. It is about a discussion. Raising awareness about credit and just, putting that awareness and that knowledge into action so that we can have the best results in our lives. I appreciate you all so much. And thank you so much for following me. Go on over to the website. We actually now it's totally converted. So conversationsaboutcredit.com is kind of the platform for this. And then, of course, Credit with Chris is our main page. So thank you, guys. If you need any help with your credit, hit up your girl. I appreciate you. All righty. Yes. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you go.